Good morning, everybody. This is Michael. It's early in the morning. Well, not that early, but December 23rd. We're getting out there. Hope everybody's doing well and safe and sound. Let's get it started.
Damn, bro, I can't tell if you're drunk or you're just tired.
Oh, I forgot the disclaimer. Boom. Quick disclaimer. This is just a conversation between me and Randy. So don't take anything out here seriously. This is just for fun. But yeah.
All right, sweet. So let's get on to what topics we have for the day. So today we're gonna have a little bit of fun, something a little bit more off base than usual. So on the personal development, we're going to be talking about past civilizations, how
Mm-hmm.
that like plays a role, what are our thoughts on it, and all that jazz. On the fitness, we have muscle groups and exercises for each of them. So this one it's pretty much just going to be information. There's not really much to discuss there. Just going to dump a load of information on you and take down some notes if you'd like. Maybe I'll put up the image so you guys can see the video format, or rather on the video format, you can see what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And on the finance, we have how would automated driving affect the economy?
Cool.
So, we always talk about how like Tesla and
Neo.
the Neo and EV cars and all that good stuff. But how is that going to impact the economy as a whole, right? And now we
Mm-hmm.
got Apple moving into the space as well, apparently. So
Yeah.
we have a lot to
Interesting,
talk
right?
about there as well. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Without further ado, let's get it started. Past civilizations. Do you believe in that, or you don't?
I mean, unless you're somebody that's a strong religious believer that believes that, the world started 6,000 years ago, I would say
Mm-hmm.
past civilizations, actually did exist because there are records and evidence that they existed.
Right.
Um, it's really interesting, honestly, because, we have that history of just like human evolution, right? Like, from the time we evolved from just being like really basic humans, so more towards being like monkeys or more like our general ancestors that were more monkey based, and
Mm-hmm.
then slowly evolved into what we are today, to a really sophisticated organism, right? But there's always a piece missing, right? So we have the general idea of what human evolution has looked like, but there's never anything in the middle. Just like we know what we've looked like and how our body was and how our traits looked or were
Mm-hmm.
perceived. But what about the society that existed during that period of time? How did those people actually live in like a community? Um, and there's always a big gap that's always missing. So I feel like past civilizations, there's a lot to be discovered, and there's a lot that we're missing still.
I Yeah, I definitely can say that there's we have different opinions on like evolution, I guess. I think I don't know. I always question the evolution theory or like the Big Bang theory, to be honest. Even though they can like say they have proof about it, I always question it how how it all began, because nobody was there, so nobody can tell. And regardless how there's evidence according to a lot of archaeologists that the skulls or like bones or whatever, there's no clear understanding of how we look like specifically. And same thing with like the dinosaurs. Like how the fuck the biggest animal that lived on this planet disappear just because an asteroid, how you call that? Yeah, that
Yeah, it
like a
was an
big,
asteroid.
yeah, rock like jump into the earth and like cause fog and whatever. And if so, how the fuck do we know how they sound like? You know what I mean? Or how the fuck do we know they look like? Because no human was present at the time. So there's a lot of questions out there. I feel like as humans, we try to understand, we try to put an answer for everything, but the truth
Mm-hmm.
is that we don't know. We just don't know. And then there's records. Now the first records of the human civilization appearing is on Mesopotamia, if I'm not mistaken, with my history. And
Yeah, yeah.
they didn't have a written language. Or actually, I think they were the first ones who have some sort of written language. That's what there's some.
The Sumerians.
Oh,
That was the first civilization that started recording.
oh, Sumerian. There you go. So it's interesting to think that they were the first people, and they were so advanced. And then the question regarding the pyramids of Giza and you know Machu Picchu, we know where it is, but like the Mayas temples, and even the Mayas, we don't know nothing about the Mayas.
So
We just know
that's
they
something right there, right?
vanished.
Right. So like that's a civilization that existed within recent history. Like there is history, or rather, there's recorded history of other civilization existing within that period of time, where the
Mm-hmm.
Mayans kind of just like vanished, right?
But they just
So
vanish. You
there's
know what I
something to
mean?
be said.
Exactly.
So if we can't really record well or of like what happened there, what are we to say about the civilization that existed much before
Mm-hmm.
that point, right? Before there
Mm-hmm.
was even well, there's not. Here's the problem. Here's the big problem. We don't know if there was any kind of written language or some sort of advanced civilization prior to ours, because the theory is that like it all got wiped away, right? Due
Right.
to some sort of natural disasters. You were talking about the dinosaurs, right? So the asteroid hit the planet, but the problem was the effect that it caused afterwards. So I believe that it started either it created a volcanic eruption
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
just due to the sheer mass of the asteroid, it just basically covered the world in ash. So basically everything died because there's you couldn't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Dinosaurs were the biggest ones, the biggest animals, and they required a lot of oxygen, so they kind of just died. Um, so in that sense, that's why that kind of that's why that makes sense.
Well,
But
you know how you just mentioned about like how it depends because this happens and then this happens and then this happens.
mhm,
That's what
sequence
makes it even more unbelievable. You know what I
mm,
mean?
like a perfect sequence of events.
No, it's just like I always been skeptical about it. To be honest, it's just that
Right.
you know, like how. Okay, yes, how we don't, bro. At that time, the Earth was like 3 or 4 times bigger than it is now. So
When the
how
asteroid
is that?
hit, yeah.
You know, like right now, even if a volcano erupts, it doesn't cover the entire world with ashes. It just covers the city around it.
Well, that's the
So
thing. We have no way to actually know that because nobody was there.
exactly. So you know, you can think whatever you want, like whoever is
No, of
listening to this,
course.
but it's just I'm very skeptical about all those theories. Now, even though I learned about a lot about science, and with this times like on my academic years, I learned to question a lot of things. Like I went to physics. I mean, I got out of physics just like more confused than ever before. Because like, how the fuck do we know the distance between the Earth and the Sun if we don't can really measure it? Or how? We never been to the sun, but somehow we got fucking temperature of the sun. It's just I know it's just approximations, but the fact that physics works around the numbers is very skeptical in my opinion. Like gravity, for example, 9.8 or 1, it just fits in every calculation, but
Hmm.
we still don't know what gravity is or how it works. No,
Well, I
we have
mean,
an
to a certain
idea.
degree, we do, right? Because we can create artificial gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Because there
Right.
are like, NASA has developed chambers where there's artificial gravity there. Um, but yeah, I mean, like that's the problem. There's no way to like be 100% certain with any of this because it's all
Mm-hmm.
up in the air. Little by little, science comes along to kind of explain everything and how it all makes sense in a really organized, sequential sense. But we, like you and me, we really don't know because we're not really there. We're not
Mm-hmm.
understanding. In order for us to understand these concepts, we need to have, well, I would say thousands of hours put into these practices, these
Like research.
sciences, researching, trying
Yeah,
to
but I feel like
implement different systems. But we don't really have that kind of time.
don't forget that we been learning the same materials the other persons was teaching,
Right.
so we are not really thinking about another possible, for example, like when Einstein was alive, like he was a creator, right? There was no such a thing as education, like a set system how it is now. Like no, just like a plain systematic education.
Mhm.
So that's what gave him the flu, or like when Jefferson was alive, when at the beginning of the days of United States, he was an inventor and he was inventing so many great things that we still use up to today. It was because there was not such thing um, as like a system of education teaching you everything that we think we know, but we just don't know anything. Oh, I like that. But yeah, the same thing raises the question of about past civilization, and also it can be correlated with whether or not we live on a simulation, because like, what if we're trying to answer a question that somebody else, like a more advanced civilization, already has, and they're just observing us, like fooling around, trying to figure it out. But it's
Sure.
crazy.
So, in conclusion, I would say, past civilizations, I
They did
feel
exist.
like they've definitely existed. Not really sure how advanced they were. Some some evidence suggests that
There were more.
they could have been even more advanced than we were. Well, maybe not like at this current time. Like right now, I think we're probably the most advanced civilization that's ever existed. But I can't really tell you
Mhm.
100% because I don't know that.
Okay, let me piggyback from that. I'll finish up.
No, that's pretty much it. I would just say,
Or,
it's an
well,
interesting topic. It's definitely think about it a lot.
I watched this documentary about the pyramids of Giza, right? A long time ago. Let me see what I remember. Now, people always thought that the pyramids were tombs, because they found like a lot of skeletons, a lot of mummies in there. But the reality is that it wasn't. It was actually kind of like a generator for electricity. And one thing that I found really curious, and why I admire a lot about Nikola Tesla, is because he replicated something that the pyramids of Giza was supposed to do, which was like universal electricity for everybody throughout like current air, not even
Hmm.
cables. I don't know if you heard about that.
No, it's the first time.
Yeah, but it's so interesting, and the fact that he was getting funding from J.P. Morgan and Edison for his research, so he got killed because of that, because they wanted to monetize electricity, and electricity is one of those technologies that it's essential nowadays, right? And it's been almost 200 and something years since the light bulb has been created, and believe it or not, there's about like 2 billion of people like living in the dark. And I know this for a fact because I literally just wrote a paper about technological justice, and how these
Mm.
simple technologies are not available because of greed of like big corporations and rich people. So
Yeah.
one thing I can say is that past civilizations, they were much advanced than us, just for the fact that they were a little bit more um I would say more connected to each other, rather than money, like leading everything, or
Right.
being the big factor in every decision that as a civilization they made. And
Yep.
I think recently too, like even in the news, like the pyramids of Giza were kind of um, classified as not tombs but something else, because the fact that they're there and how the fuck they created it is just kind of amazing. Like,
Hmm.
not even us with our current technology, we can recreate the pyramids of Giza, and
Well, I
that's
mean, we can, but it would just take a lot of effort, right?
no, no,
And
no, we can't, bro. We never been to the pyramids, but like the blocks, like the shape of the blocks is literally like my house. That's how big
right.
it is. And to move that and put it like on top of each other, there's no machine created yet to do that.
No, but I'm saying we can do it. It would just take a lot of unnecessary effort at this point.
True, yeah,
So
but
like the question is like how the hell did they do it back then when their technology was not as advanced as where we are now? At least that's what we think.
mm-hmm.
Because it could have been aliens.
Oh, we can talk
That's
about
another
aliens
theory
another
that
time.
aliens kind of came down and helped and organized everything and then just left.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's something to say about aliens on Egyptian culture, because there's a lot of references to them as well. But what about what if they had like a strong connection to the aliens that they decided to leave? Because there's also like a lost history in Egypt for like for the person who actually built the pyramids, like the
Right.
pharaoh.
Yeah, there's
But
always
yeah,
like, yeah, go ahead.
no, go finish it.
There's always like something like that where like there's lost history or lost information. Like the other one is like the Library of Alexander, right? Alexandria,
Right. Yes.
rather. Like there's a lot of information that we lost that really just forced us to restart because like the knowledge in that information was such that it could have jump started a whole civilization, but instead it was burned down and lost all that information. But
Yeah,
in
no,
any
even
case,
also like even Alexander the Great, what he did is stole. Actually, no, Alexander the Great was a smart ruler because he actually combined the library from the Roman Empire into theirs, I think. But there was one civilization, I think it's Mongolia, or it's one empire after the Alexander the Great who burned it just because they didn't want to get people remembering or getting influence of it. And even the Catholic Church did this. They actually burned like paganist books and stuff like that, and inculcated traditions that we still celebrate, like Christmas. Jesus was not born in December 25th, guys. I mean 24th. Surprise! It was just before it was a paganist holiday that they kind of what is it called? How you call that? That you think something is great. You celebrate a tree, and that's why we have the
right.
Christmas tree. Or, but yeah, there's a lot of things, and also like economically wise, they thought it was a really good marketing tool because you work all day, all year, and then end it right before the New Year's.
Yeah.
All these things that we celebrate today has something to do with.
There's always some sort of dark history behind it, right?
Yep.
So, like again, Columbus Day. That's another. I
Or
mean, that one in
Thanksgiving.
recently, and Thanksgiving as well. There's always some sort of dark history to most of these holidays, and maybe we can make that another topic about like maybe discussing the history between or the history of these topics, or rather these holidays,
Right.
and
So,
yeah,
so what
take
we
it
can
from there.
say is that maybe there was not. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was a past civilizations, not just one, maybe multiple civilizations, because also there were some evidence that there were people before, that people who crossed that stretch of Bering, like in the
Baron
north,
Stretch.
the Bering Stretch. Yeah. There were actually people living here already, and you know, so there
Yep.
there were civilizations before us, and we don't know why they disappear, and we will never be able to find the answer because unless we are in a simulation and somebody comes out and be like, "Here, my sons, the old history," kind of like the One
Boom.
Piece,
Yeah.
you know how One Piece they're searching for the lost history of the 100 years,
Yeah.
something similar, but we will never know, and whether some of that it's our own fault because history is written by winners, and sometimes winners they don't want to know what they don't want to us to know the history of others.
Yep. All right, let's cut it there, just because then we'll just start going on forever because it could get really,
Yeah,
you know,
it can get really
we
intense.
can get really deep into it. So,
Facts.
all right, so let's jump into the next part here. So we have
Fitness.
on the fitness section, we have muscle groups and exercises for each of them. So I'm not gonna go through all of it just because there's a lot,
Just the basic
but
ones.
I'll give you maybe all the muscle groups, and then I'll give you like maybe 2 or 3 exercises for each. That way you got an idea, like the big important exercises for these muscle groups. So I got this sheet right here. I don't know if you can see that on the screen there, but should be good. So the first up here are the pecs. So this is the chest. So this is divided into a couple of different options. So we have free weights, body weight, machines, and that's it. Yeah. So with the free weights, go with the most traditional ones. We got flat bench press, decline, incline bench press. On the body weights, we have push-ups,
Not
decline
this one.
push-ups. Oh yeah, flies.
Flies.
So yeah, with the flies, you can do those with dumbbells usually, right? So you can do in the same way you can do barbell flat bench, you can do dumbbell flat bench, incline, decline, pullovers. That's an interesting exercise, but that one requires a little bit of technique to it. and flat fly, as you were saying, right? And then you got the machines, the cable cross machines, where you bring the
Oh
cables
yeah.
up towards the center. So that's another one. All right, so that's the chest. Next up, we got the back. So specifically, it's called the lats, the latissimus dorsi. So with
Wait,
this, we have,
I thought the back was the back, and then the lats are this.
well, yeah, but the lats are encompassing the back as well.
Okay,
So a
okay.
good way to hit the lats is to do pull-ups, and pull-ups is a good back exercise, right? So we have
I
that.
think that's the best one.
Yeah. So for that pull-ups, that's body weight, right? And if you want to add in a little bit more difficulty with just the body weight, you can implement weight into that. You get a weight belt, you put weight onto it, and then you do weighted pull-ups or weighted dips, weighted push-ups. On the other side here, we got barbells. We can do barbell rows. So have you ever seen, rows such that, you're bent over like at a 90-degree angle from your hip and you're picking up the weight towards about hip level, back down. Barbell rows, T-bar rows, those are pretty good. With the dumbbells, you can do one arm rows, double arm rows. And with the machine, the biggest ones are the seated row. So, the machine where you sit down and just pull, right? And then the lat pull down machine, obviously. So that's just the one that's above the head, pull down, and that's it.
An inverse fly too. Do you go over
Inverse
that?
flies. Yeah. All right. Next up, we got the shoulders. So delts or deltoids. We got shoulder press, military press, front raises, side raises. So front raises, side raises, right? Reverse flies. So like you were saying, you can do this one seated or standing. And usually you would be using dumbbells for these free weights.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing with the cable machines as well, right? Front raises, side raises, rear raises. Let's see. That takes care of the shoulders. All right. So next up, we have the traps. So that's the upper part here next to your neck.
Right.
The best one, and pretty much the only one that's suggested here, is doing shrugs. The shrugs is where literally you just shrug up your shoulders up and down, have some weights on your arms,
Right.
and that's it. Pretty basic, pretty simple.
Dumbbells or machines, they both work well.
Yeah.
I usually do machines.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be that complicated, right? Next up, we got arms, biceps, and triceps. Pretty straightforward here, right? So you got your bicep curl, you got preacher curls, you got hammer curls. What else do we have here? Single hand cable curls, angle curls, sevens, concentration curls, alternating curls. There's so many fucking curls.
Yeah, there's a lot variety.
There's a lot. Usually, again, dumbbells, free weights. That's usually what you're going with this. But you can use the machines, the cable machines. They usually work pretty well. Triceps, we have dips. I love dips. Dips usually work best for helping developing the chest and the triceps.
Yep.
Definitely would recommend those. Body weight, right? And then you can obviously make that a little bit harder with weighted dips. Kickbacks, right? So you can, like with a dumbbell or something, you just extend the arm backwards, keep it about hip level. Skull crushers, close grip pressing, close grip push-ups. Those usually incorporate a lot of tricep movements, and push downs. So you start with the machine and you pull down, and then raise back up. And that's about it with the triceps. All right, last thing we have here are the legs. So for the legs, go with the tried and true. You got your squats, you got your lunges. You can do some sumo squats, step ups, deadlifts, single leg deadlifts. Obviously, you can use whatever type of weight you would like. You can even do this with body weight, free weights, resistance bands. So it takes care of the bigger parts of the legs. Also, you have glute bridges for your glutes, right? Let's see. You could also use the machines, right? Leg press machines, extension machines, leg extension machines, glute kickback machines, hamstring curl machines. And then the ones that usually get missed out on are the AB and adductor machines. So it's those leg machines that open and close. Usually you see girls doing it most often, right? So those are really good to just help facilitate a well-rounded leg physique, or not even well-rounded leg physique, but just to make sure that your legs are balanced. Usually what ends up happening is that people overwork the front and the back part of the legs. So usually the quads or the hamstrings. but they don't do much in terms of developing the sides, the inner and outer part of the thighs. Not that much of an issue usually, but when people have injuries with their knees, it's usually due to a tendency of being too underdeveloped on the sides within the inner and outer part of the legs and overly developed in the front and the back. So usually, especially when I train my clients, I usually have them do those exercises, the one that open and closes the legs, just to make sure that they're well balanced. And that's it.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. One exercise that I would say like encourage a lot of people to try it out, and it's really good for pretty much most muscle groups of your body, is that deadlift.
Yeah.
So that one is, includes glutes, legs, back, and even the chest. And
I'll do like right now. We can do a little simple thing, simple programming. Focus on very specific exercises that are well-rounded, and those usually include squats, deadlifts. For the chest, you can do bench press, but it's not really necessary. Focus on push-ups, dips, pull-ups, and some core work. Anything else that I'm missing? Maybe you can do some back rows for your back a little bit more. But besides that, if you can do those 6 to 7 exercises in a program, that literally encompasses every body part. And then you do the little things with the arms and the legs, the inner and outer legs. And that's it. That's your whole program right there.
Sweet. All right. So I think that covers all. I don't got anything else to add up. I think you pretty much went over all the exercises, which is really good. All right, let's jump into finance. Let's talk about EVs and how it's going to affect the economy moving forward. The positive and negative effects, because there's going to be a lot of negative effects on that aspect. What do you think?
So the first thing that comes to mind is just like all the jobs that require, people to drive, right? So the biggest one is taxis, right? Ubers, and then you have truck drivers, right? Bus drivers, school bus drivers.
Wait. Hold on. So you expect a electric car to be self-driving car. That's just an assumption now.
Well, no, it's not really an assumption. Like the idea is moving forward, if automated driving actually becomes something that is feasible and we can implement into our society, how does that affect the people that, use driving as a form of work?
Oh. Okay, sorry, I kind of read the question wrong. I thought we were talking about electric cars only, but it seems like it's automated cars. Okay.
EVs that can self-drive. So that's what Tesla's pushing, right? Like they're saying that their cars can be self-driving.
Right. Yeah. So automated cars, how it's gonna affect them to get to that point is gonna take a lot actually, because self-driving part we haven't got that technology to get there yet. But yeah, like Randy was mentioning, it's gonna take away a lot of jobs that requires driving, for especially like driving like taxis, Uber, bus drivers and stuff like that. That's gonna be the major impact. Now, on the other hand, it's gonna also create new jobs to build these cars and to also build on the software. So it's gonna require some computer scientists, software development, engineers, mechanics as well, and people who knows about like EVs. But another negative, another positive aspect of this that I see is that it's gonna also create environmental friendly more cars. So we probably gonna see carbon dioxide died out to a certain degree, to a certain point. Because remember that to develop these cars and to develop even the battery, you actually require fossil fuels. So
that's the problem.
Yeah, so we decreasing in in the cities, but that carbon dioxide is gonna be built or accumulated somewhere else. So there's always that. They market it as e-green and everything, but what it takes to build it, you should also take in consideration. It will definitely affect the oil and so fossil fuels market at some point, at some degree, because now rather than putting it in gas stations and putting it, distributing around the world in that aspect, it's gonna be more focused on just industries. So it's gonna be a shift on that. So we probably gonna see some sort of effect on gas stations now. So they moving from a fossil fuel only to also electricity.
Right.
And
So half of those, maybe half, right? So half of it, half of the gas
mhm.
station now becomes an EV charging station,
Yeah, but the thing
right?
also is that EVs they take a while to charge. So that's more, we're gonna see a more and more people uh, preferring to install those chargers like in their houses or something.
Hmm.
But it's something to take in considerations. Or another,
Or
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking, or maybe like the state or like the city they start putting charging stations around the city or like in the
Yeah,
parking lots.
that's one of Biden's plans is to implement a system of more charging stations around the U.S. I think he said something like around 500,000 charging stations by the
Hmm.
time he's done with his presidency.
All right,
But
we'll see how that.
yeah, but like another model, right, is the Neo model where they just
Hmm.
swap out batteries at stations.
Right.
So hypothetically, think about you go to a gas station and rather than pumping gas, you swap out your battery, and that battery gives you another 500 miles.
Hmm. Definitely, yeah, for sure. There's gonna be some positive aspects on those matter, and people are gonna get creative, especially because it's something new, something that we haven't seen. But now, automated technology, it's definitely gonna decrease car accidents because reckless driving. So now the curriculum to driving to get to your license is gonna be a little bit different, in my opinion. The same way that before, back in the days, that well, actually, I don't know here, but like in my city, in my country, you have to learn to like you actually go to school and pay like an enormous fee and learn a stick shift like shifting. Over here, you guys got it easy, like automatic cars. That shit is so
See, that's one
so
of the
easy.
also
Just now,
that's one of the other
and
problems,
now,
right?
yeah, now
Go ahead.
with automated cars, you don't even have to do anything. Maybe you just have to like learn to press buttons. Just be aware that your car is doing everything correct, or maybe I don't know. And to be honest, that curriculum has to change in some way. Give you like hints or like insights on both aspects, like
It's
driving
too
a regular
easy.
car and driving a self-driving car. Or maybe
It's
they're
too
gonna
easy.
make a license for Joe's self-driving car.
Mm-hmm. The
What do you think?
curriculum, yeah, it's too simple. There isn't enough actual learning, and that's a lot of it is why we have a lot of accidents, right?
Yeah.
Um, so with the self-driving car, that eliminates a lot of that just person error, individual person
Mhm.
error. So on some aspects, it's a good thing, but again, going back to how it would affect the economy, a lot of people lose their jobs, and in order for them to gain employment in a similar field, they would have to learn a whole new system. They would
Mhm.
have to maybe go back to school to become an engineer to help program these cars, or become a mechanic, right? That specifically deals with EVs and how to fix them. But like,
But
look at a Tesla, right? Tesla, they usually fix their cars in facility, right?
mhm.
You don't go to a mechanic to fix your Tesla. You have to go
Correct.
to a Tesla factory in order to get that fixed,
Mhm.
because it's their mechanics that know the systems, and those mechanics aren't outsourcing, or at least not yet.
Not
Um,
yet. I think it's not yet for now.
so we'll see.
Another aspect that I was mentioning with the car accidents is that even actually car accidents then bring a lot of money because
Yeah,
how much you spend when you get into a car accident? You gotta pay the
think about the
insurance.
insurance as well. Yeah,
You gotta pay the mechanic to fix it, and even the medical bills once you go to the hospital.
that's a big thing,
So
right?
just think about all those little effects that they're gonna add up. Some of them are gonna actually drive, low income, like low profits for hospitals or for mechanics, because hospital on insurance companies, because hospitals they charge you like a fucking paste like
Arm and a
that,
leg.
like thousands of dollars just to get into the ER. So they're gonna lose a lot of money on that. So it's gonna have like it's gonna be a domino effect because they don't have that money to spend. Boom, they're not gonna start hiring new doctors or new nurses. Boom, and so on. So like the quality is gonna decrease, but they're definitely gonna be seeking for other sort of income, other sort of profit. So they should be thinking about that now because if once this becomes a reality, it's going to have a huge impact on the economy for sure. But it creates jobs for the educated people who goes to school for like a certain, kind of like a specific degree. And a lot of people don't realize that. Like, you're just gonna get a job. You must force yourself to learn to code or learn how to program or something, because that's the field that is gonna take over eventually if automated cars becomes a reality. And
Yeah.
even if you're a mechanic, you maybe start looking on how the Tesla's built, what it requires in order for you to offer those services. But there's definitely going to be some job creation, not as much as the amount of taxi drivers or like like regular people now do Uber or deliveries. Even delivery is going to be affected by this. So if you hold one of these jobs, start thinking what you can do once that happens. I mean, we're not gonna see the effect like boom, like right
So
away.
it's coming.
So it's coming, but it might take like 5 to 10 years to adjust and to eventually will be like fully automated or even more so. So don't worry about it. Don't get scared.
No, I would say, start now if you can to start, getting yourself prepared for that
Yeah,
inevitable situation, because I feel like eventually we're going to get there.
yeah, for sure. For example, if you have a job on like delivering on like the UPS or FedEx, and you planning to stay there for like the long term, don't rely on that job too much for the retirement, because that job in 30 years from now might not be the same job that it is now.
Right.
Hmm.
All right. I
I
think
think
that
that
covers
covers
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to like piggyback or like continue from this, Apple announced their cards, Apple Car or iCar,
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. Now the competition is going to be huge in the market for EVs. So it took 17 years for Tesla to turn a profit making cars, and it's going to take even more so for Apple, because they're new. They're definitely going to be super expensive, but the brand is going to be a little bit helpful in their aspect. We're going to see.
Imagine having an Apple car. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I just talked yesterday. Remember how I will get a Mac or an iPhone because they're connected, they're so convenient. Apple is gonna make it in such a way that it just fits in your life, man.
If you have an Apple phone, you need an Apple car now.
Yeah, it's gonna be incredible. They're gonna make something like that. But yeah. Other than that, as of for manufacturing logistics, Apple has managed to reliably move its products from factories to consumers, the Bull says, while Tesla hasn't always checked that box. All right, interesting. So they're actually consuming some products. So maybe they're going to use Tesla batteries or um, Neo's chips or something. So they're going to be buying some of the technology, not creating their own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Tesla CEO Elon Musk seems ready for a fight. He tweeted yesterday that when the Model 3 was floundering, he approached Apple CEO Tim Cook about acquisitions at about 10% of Tesla current price. Cook refused to take the meeting, Musk said. That's interesting.
No,
All
that's
right.
just lost.
He's lost, yeah, absolutely. Um, but yeah. Yesterday, Trump went online. He talked trash about the stimulus bill. So he criticized that the 900 billion relief package Congress passed on Monday, saying that is a disgrace and that almost nothing to do with COVID. And honestly, can agree with that. Like, there's nothing to do with COVID. Well, we don't know the backstory behind it, but with the numbers and the facts, it seems like it. So right now he's opposing to it. So we will see if he actually signs it, and he's kind of like he's asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously $600 to 2,000 or even 4,000 for couples. So now Democrats are actually on board because Democrat is all over for the people and blah blah blah. But we will see. Thoughts?
No, that's what it is. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, and again, a lot of it is going to foreign aid, so we got to see what's happening there.
Mhm.
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, from my side, I don't really have too much news updates. We're kind of just waiting to see, waiting in the pre-market to see how everything's going to operate. Everything's still up in the air. I'm not 100% sure. You just talked about, if Trump is opposing the bill and seemingly how that's going to play out. We don't really know yet. Anything else? No, that's
Oh,
about it.
another thing that President Trump did yesterday is he pardoned a lot of people. Let's see, I read this news somewhere. He pardoned 15 people, including former campaign aide George Papadopoulos and former Representative Chris Collins, who pledged guilty to charges of conspiring to commit security fraud.
Hmm.
Just to tell
Oh,
you how fucked up our system is. The true, people who in power, they don't get to go to jail. They just get
oh,
pardoned by the president just because
yep,
they're friends. They're
that's
probably
it.
paying him though. Another thing that is brewing is that the Dow Jones average sued Walmart over its alleged role in the U.S. opium crisis. The SEC sued the cryptocurrency company Ripple, and two of its executives for allegedly violating investors' protection laws. So right now, there's a lot going on. We'll see. We're gonna keep
So you
on.
said that the SEC is suing Walmart,
Yeah, the
Ooh,
DOJ. Actually, that's the DOA.
Department of Justice. Oh, okay. So that's a problem.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's
All
the
right.
Department of Justice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. That's it for today. It got a
All
little bit
right.
deep, but it
Yeah,
was
that's
worth it.
fine. That was a good combos.
It was. All right.
All
Peace
right.
out.
Peace.